go.
Okay. Hello, my name is Luka Koršić. I come from Internet Institute company from Slovenia. We are actually a spin-out from the university, about 5 years old. So our main competences are in quality assurance, let's say, field. We do a lot of real-time monitoring and testing scenarios. And also, we are active in the critical communications field, which we will talk about in this presentation. Okay. So what is PPDR? This is Public Protection and Disaster Relief field of interest. So basically it involves firefighters, policemen, mountain rescue stuff and stuff like that. So basically for a long time they have problems in this field. So basically they need the voice, which is mission critical for them. They need some data services, but right now they are low data and using narrowband technologies. So basically they're depending on the even analog systems and more modern digital systems, but basically these are all old technologies, and this PPDR field is always lacking behind the newest technologies that are available right now. So what are basically the requirements for the, let's say, PPDR vertical? They need the high availability for sure. They need the high resilience scenarios to, let's say, be able to react if the network has problems. Scalability and elasticity scenarios, also guaranteed quality of service, energy efficiency, and also let's imagine some new scenarios which involves sensing, monitoring capabilities, search and rescue support, using new localization techniques, thermal cameras and stuff like that. So basically, we need to provide them with the new types of the technologies while also supporting, let's say, the services that they are used to using. So the voice is critical for them, and also this, let's say, old technologies must be supported in the newest system. So how can we help with that? So basically our idea for the NetApp is as follows. We have the scenario for the isolated operations for public safety. So basically the idea is that we have two types of, let's say, scenarios that we can imagine. One scenario is that everything is perfect, running, there is no disaster scenario, no catastrophic events. So basically we have the base station, which you can see here. Do I have the laser? Yeah, this is the G node B. And usually the G node B will connect to the, let's say, to the core site, which runs somewhere in the cloud, let's say. So basically this is the regular scenario. Each cell site connects to the backhaul to the core site. But then it can happen, disaster can happen, and the base station can lose the connectivity via the backhaul to the core site. So what can we do then? Well, our idea is that we can provide local 5G core on each cell site. So basically, if disaster happens and the backhaul is not available, at the cell site, we will spin the 5G core up and reconfigure the base station to connect to the local core running at the cell site. So this way, we can have running local 5G services and providing the 5G services to the 5G UEs, which in PPDR world would mean these are the terminal units for the firefighters, policemen, and mountain rescuers and stuff like that. So basically, they can communicate, they can send the data between them just using the local, let's say, cell site and the local core. So when the backhaul after the disaster is reestablished, the base station will be reconfigured again to connect again to the core site. So basically this is the idea. So how we will approach this implementation-wise? So we designed it as a NetApp, and we have, let's say, the NetApp in more flavors. One flavor could be that we run just the core VNF, so we can spin this up, let's say, in any public cloud. There is no special requirements for this. And on the cell side, we run the NetApp also as a VNF, And this VNF can consist only of the base station or also of the local core, as mentioned in the previous scenario. So in the disaster scenario, we will use both, let's say, services at the cell site packaged as a VNF, and in the regular scenario, we have the VNF separated, running here. The requirements for such a NetApp would be, let's say these are high-level requirements. For the reconfiguration time, under 300 seconds, this is 5 minutes. So basically, this is the time needed to reconfigure the slice and reconnect to the local core and spin everything up. And also, if we are instantiating from the scratch, we can do it, let's say, in under 15 minutes. So basically, you have to bear in mind that this is 15 minutes to establish from zero to the working 5G network providing services. So I think it's a pretty good time. Regarding the slice requirements, for sure we need an isolation level to separate the resources from the other resources running in the cloud. We are supporting velocity for the pedestrian speeds, let's say walking. And also we have some performance KPI to, let's say, to achieve. This is the round trip latency should be around 10 milliseconds, DNS reply time about 20 milliseconds, and also to provide, let's say, high quality video, we have like bandwidth around 300 megabits per second. The deployment requirements are basically divided between the functions. For the core, there are no special requirements, except you have to package the core as a VNF. We did it as a VNF. That means the virtual machine, but basically everything inside the virtual machine is containerized. So basically all the services that I mentioned are running as a container inside the VM. And for the base station, of course, because we are using hardware resources and hardware cards, you have to have support for this hardware to be able to instantiate this VNF inside the cell site. So basically our NetApp is a case study how to improve PPDR communications during, let's say, disaster scenarios. As mentioned, we have two, let's say, types of scenarios. One is the regular one and one is the disaster one. The requirements for the core are basically none. You can deploy it as a VM everywhere in the cloud. And if you have a cell site and you want to deploy our IAPS operation, you have to have CPRI card and the remote radio head to provide the actual 5G radio network. So basically, all of this is deployed with standardized options. So you basically, it should allow to connect to cross-border scenarios or cross-vertical scenarios also. Regarding the market potential, is maybe not as huge as in other verticals, but that does not mean that it's not important. Okay. Ready for questions?
So the chat is still silent. Anyone in the room? Yes, please.
When you said that you will monitor if the backhaul is not working properly, how are you monitoring your like the whole thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So inside the VNF, we have, as you know, the parameters we can push to the during instantiation and also during the day 1 and day 2 configuration. So one of the mechanisms that we are using is the health check. We basically provide the health check mechanism from the cell site to the core. The IP of the core, and this is pushed during the instantiation. So you select which health check mechanism you will use. It can be ping, it can be, I don't know, for now it's ping. But it will be evolved to, let's say, check if the ports are open and stuff like that. And you can define the threshold when you decide that the backhaul is not available. So basically, if 3 pings are not coming back, we decide that the backhaul is not up, and we reconfigure and reinstantiate the local core at the cell site.
Just there can be a condition like the the deployment on the core side is down instead of the backhaul, instead of the network. So is there any way to differentiate that thing?
Right now, no, but the consequence is the same. If the core is not reachable, we have to configure the local core to provide the services. So basically, yeah.
Thank you.
Another question: what do you do when you are not using the backup 5G core network? Do you just have it off, or do you use it for another purpose?
Which one? This one?
Yeah, the local 5G core network.
No, we must imagine the scenario that this is the core that is available by the provider usually, by the provider inside the country or something like that. And then we have the cell sites that connect to this core. And each cell site could switch to the local core if the backhaul connectivity would be done. It's a special case for the PPDR users. In our country, the PPDR, let's say, users will use the telco providers' networks. It will not be a separate network.
Thank you. Any other questions? Then we move on to the next NetApp.